Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to KKK members reacting to receiving life sentences. Now, I've got absolutely zero sympathy or empathy for any, person that's a member of the KKK going to prison for life. They've probably done something absolutely evil, based on nothing but, hatred really. So yeah. You're not going to see any sympathy from me whatsoever. Still, should be an interesting video.
KKK members reacting to life sentences. 1. Edgar Ray Killen.
And probably the most high-profile case in the history of this state.
Our first case shook America to its core, with the killer Edgar Ray Killen. Now, you might be thinking, how bad can this sweet old man with an oxygen tank tube be? Well, the saying that you can't judge a book by its cover has never applied more. It all started in the town of Philadelphia. No, not that one. The less famous Philadelphia, Mississippi, all the way back in 1964. Though the case didn't close until 2005.
Wow.
Though the case seemed like your average sawmill operator and part-time Baptist minister. Sounds innocent enough. Unfortunately for the city, he was also moonlighting as a KKK leader. Being a KKK member at that time was a risk of getting a lot of...
Why do they burn crosses? What is the reason behind that? Someone please explain it to me.
Heat, with the Civil Rights Act having more and more supporters, like our three victims, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. The three men were arrested for speeding one night, and had they stayed in jail, their lives might have been spared, as KKK members, ordered by Edgar Ray Killen, were waiting for their release to kill them. Their bodies were found, and their station wagon was found burning, dubbing the case My Bone. At the time, Ray Killen was suspected but released on good reputation for being a preacher. However, the case was reopened in 2005, when a former KKK errand boy, Mike Hatcher, testified that Killen bragged to him about the three killings the day after the deed. Although he was 80 at the time, Killen stood trial for 7 days in 2005, before being charged with an unusual manslaughter charge instead of murder.
Yeah, why manslaughter?
It's a sentence of this court that you serve 20 years in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections.
Killen was given 60 years of prison time in total, 20 for each manslaughter.
I mean, he's lived his whole life on the outside. He's already an old man. So in my eyes, he got away with it.
However, Killen would not live to have his sentence carried out.
Wow.
Since he died at 92 in 2018 inside a Mississippi state penitentiary after serving 12 years of his sentence. Unfortunately, there are too many racist murderers in this world.
At least he served, a decent amount of time.
Next up is known as the racist trinity of Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Bryan. On a sunny day in February 2020 in Glynn County, Georgia, our three culprits twisted a version of the law in their own hands upon seeing Ahmaud Arbery jogging peacefully.
I remember
Greg
this
McMichael,
story.
a Glynn County police officer and investigator for the Brunswick Judicial Circuit District Attorney's Office, and his son, at that second, decided that Ahmaud was a suspect in local burglaries. So instead of doing the rational thing of opening an investigation, or even simply talking to him, the three men got into a car and ignored all rationality, taking out a .357 Magnum handgun and a 12-gauge shotgun, and going directly after Arbery. Arbery was shot 3 times by the shotgun of Gregory's son, Travis McMichael. Police arrived on the scene quickly enough, but Lady Luck was on the three men's side, as they kept being ruled out for a lack of probable cause, and with a number of DAs recusing themselves from the case, as Greg McMichael had worked in their office. However, after Arbery was cleared of any burglary charges, the three men got back into the suspicion spotlight, with a video taken by William Bryan showing...
But why would Arbery have to be cleared of burglary charges before, those three were investigated? What? They've killed a man. Why do they need to, check out if the guy was actually a criminal or not. They're not like publicly appointed executioners. Like, that's bizarre to me.
The struggle between Travis McMichael and Ahmed Arbery right before his murder. You can say Brian shot himself and his partners in the foot, and his directorial ambitions landed them in jail. The three men stood trial, and to no one's surprise, it was decided that this was a racially motivated attack. All three men received life in prison for felony murder and aggravated assault, while Travis was also charged with malice murder. With a swift hammer of justice, though, Travis and Greg had no chance of parole. Unlike William Bryan, who got a chance after 30 years, given that he's in his 50s, we'll doubt he'll take that deal when he's that old by then.
We, the jury, find the defendant Travis McMichael guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant Greg McMichael guilty.
While it's hard to see a silver lining,
It's just sad. Like, this guy was just walking around his neighborhood, doing nothing, minding his own business, and they killed him. It actually scares the life, like the crap out of me that, I could be in America, doing, my own thing, and for no reason whatsoever. Like, oh, man.
in a 25-year-old's unjust death. The case did lead to the introduction of hate crime legislation in Georgia. So at least Ahmed did not die for nothing, as the legislation will prevent others from sharing the same unfortunate and tragic fate. Ever seen someone embarrassingly make a scene and just lose it in a public place? Well, sometimes this can turn catastrophic. Like Jeremy Christian. Who takes the annoyance of embarrassing public outbursts to a whole new level. But this wasn't one just arguing over a grocery store receipt. In May 2017, Christian was on a public train in Portland, Oregon, and he showed his true racist colors. The train, just like most metropolitan cities, was diverse with passengers of different ethnicities and religions, and apparently, this was enough to set Christian off into a frenzy. He started ranting, insulting, and even made death threats clearly racially charged. In an effort to defend their fellow passengers, two people, Talishan Mirdin Namkai Mesha and Micah David Cole Fletcher, stepped in to give Christian a piece of their mind over his aggressive and racist behavior. In a horrifying turn of events, after some back and forth, Christian pulled out a knife and stabbed Micah, Talishan, and another passenger by the name of Ricky Best.
That's so sad, Those guys were just doing the right thing, like bravely, getting in his face, like even though he had a weapon, and telling him, you're wrong, you're wrong, and man, so sad.
The scene of the horrific crime was shocking, as Christian fled the scene as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't just taken the lives of two innocent people because of his twisted racism. 3 years later, Christian's trial finally began. And just like most killers and...
look at the state of him. You can tell, this guy, he is just nuts. Just a crazy individual.
Racists. He had a ton of dirty laundry that got exposed. The case had testimonies from over 40 witnesses, with other charges such as assaulting a black woman in the eye with a Gatorade bottle and other teenage girls, one of whom was wearing a hijab. As for the train incident, the police and the courts had their hands full, as Christian was charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of second-degree intimidation, 3 misdemeanors, and 1 count of possessing a restricted weapon. Christian's crimes were so horrific that one survivor from the 3 attacks, Micah Cole Fletcher, said the difficulty of it was the sleep came with nightmares. Including one where he's in a tunnel that slowly fills with blood until he drowns.
Oh my God.
Judgment Day was on the horizon for Christian, as he received 2 life sentences with no chance of parole, and an additional 51 years for his other crimes.
Yeah.
The blackest high school in Oregon. Where I'm from, we defend ourselves.
You'd think that this would be enough for him to tone down, and rethink his choices, but murderers like him usually have no reason. As he went on yet another rant inside the court against one of the victims directly, threatening to kill her in front of everyone. So it's probably fair to assume no one had an ounce of...
Why is he screaming George Floyd? Man, why can't we all just get along? Like, is it really that difficult? Like, why can't we all just get along, you know, be happy together? Like, what is the difficulty in that?
For his punishment. Portland witnessed not one, but two shocking murders on our list though, with the second one being Russell Courtier. True monsters like Courtier are exposed to the public when a simple argument turns into a despicable murder. It started when a random fight broke out outside of a 7-Eleven between Courtier and another man, Larnell Bruce Jr. This isn't your run-of-the-mill street argument though, as CCTV cameras caught Courtier suddenly running after Larnell Bruce with a jeep and brutally running him over, killing him. We may never know what actually caused this fight, but we have a pretty good idea of why Courtier would do this. As it turned out, he was part of a white supremacist prison gang called European Kindred. He had the group's logo on his hat and even as a tattoo on his leg, which is a whole new level of twisted loyalty for something so heinous. After his hat was found at the crime scene and CCTV cameras caught him red-handed, he was charged with first-degree murder, and his girlfriend, Colleen Hunt, who was cheering him on in the car, her car by the way, on to run Bruce over, was charged with first-degree manslaughter.
For degree follows. We the jury find the defendant as count one murder guilty, second degree guilty.
Courtier set a record for Oregon's first hate crime verdict in 3 decades and received life imprisonment with no possibility of release for 28 years. Life imprisonment is the maximum sentence any killer can get, but it's probably not even enough for Larnell Bruce's mother, who had this to say to Courtier: "You allowed the devil to misguide you and take the life of such a beautiful young spirit. You took that life from
I feel
us."
so bad for
With
her.
most hate crimes being committed by white supremacists against people of color, what happens when those roles are reversed? You get...
As to count 4, we, the jury, in the above entitled action, find defendant Corey Ali Muhammad guilty.
Corey Muhammad. Racism charged attacks are racist no matter what race it's against. And in the case of Corey, he had it out for all white people. It all started back in 2017 at Motel 6 in Fresno, California, where Corey shot and killed a security guard, Carl Williams. You'd think he'd stop there. No. He decided to go on an all-out war against white people with the inhuman excuse of, there is no point in going down for one murder. In his insane killing spree, Corey killed 3 more victims: Zachary Randalls, Mark Gassett, and David Jackson.
Awful, you know. Imagine that. It's kind of similar to the Aubrey Ahmed situation. You know, you're minding your own business. You're just going about your day, and for no reason at all, you lose your life. It's just sickening.
Corey was charged with 4 counts of murder and 2 counts of assault. And although he tried to play smart and claim insanity, he wasn't fooling anyone and got sentenced to 206 years in prison with no chance of parole. We have it on good authority that he's never getting out to hurt anyone ever again.
206 years. Just, you know, watching that just filled me with like sadness, to be honest with you. Just hating people based on, you know, what they look like. Nothing more than that, you know, just what they look like. It's just, for me, I can't understand it. I can't, you know, because most of the time, the vast majority of the time, if you just speak to somebody, you know, who doesn't look like you, just speak to them, you'll realize that you share so much in common. Pretty much everything, really. We all have the same motives. We all have the same desires. You know, we want to protect our families. We want to, you know, live a good life. We're the same thing deep down. It's like, so to hate someone to the point where you want to kill them just because their skin is a different color, I just can never, ever, ever understand that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.